Hello nerds! Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your week in Nerdom Comic Books edition for the week of February 26th, 2018. This week in comic books we've got, oh man, so much is going on. This is one of the bigger videos for the week. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Venom, the Marvel Infinity Countdown Prime. Fantastic, so much is going on. Let's jump into the intro.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
Before we get into the news, let's get into the sponsor. This week's episode is sponsored by the Yay Sports Are We Winning Yet? Shirt. You can find it over on teespring.com/stores/generally nerdy. It looks a little something like this on front and a little something like this on back. It's the shirt that says, "Thank you for inviting me to your party. I don't care who's playing, but I do care that you do." teespring.com/stores/generally nerdy is the only place to get your Yay Sports. Are we winning? Let's jump into the news because there's a lot of stuff in comic books this week. Okay, so first up, we spoiler alerts for some of these stories. I'll tell you what story it is, and then you can skip forward a couple minutes. First up is Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was somehow, the cosmic Ghost Rider is somehow Frank Castle. In the preview for Thanos issue number 16, we find out how that happened, kind of. They cut off at a point where it's like, well, they didn't really tell us specifically, so if you want to know exactly, then you have to get the new book, but it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. Apparently, in the future that this Thanos and Cosmic Ghost Rider come from, Frank Castle, whoa, I almost forgot his name. Frank Castle was the last Punisher, was the last surviving superhero on the Earth that they came from, and he died. Thanos kills him, and as he's dying, he wishes that he can punish that purple creature, and as he's dying, Mephisto, I can't, whatever, the king of hell, here's what he has to say, and he has a plan in mind for him. And likely that plan is going to be, you can become the Cosmic Ghost Rider and exact your revenge that way. And so that's what we're looking forward to in Thanos issue number 16 is the fleshing out of that story, all of the details associated with the Punisher becoming freaking Cosmic Ghost Rider. But yeah, anyway, moving on down the road, we're talking about the Fantastic Four. But there is no Fantastic Four right now, you're saying. Reed and Sue are not anywhere to be seen, and Johnny and the Thing are kind of doing a thing together in the Marvel 2-in-1 books. Well, the preview for, or actually the summary from the solicitations for issue number 6 for the Marvel 2-in-1 suggests that there's going to be some familiar friends that help bring the Fate of the Four story arc to its conclusion. It's set to come out in May, and also set to come out in May are 3 omnibus collections for the Fantastic Four. So it makes sense that those familiar friends are probably going to be Reed and Sue, and then following the conclusion of the Fate of the Four and the Marvel 2-in-1s, we're going to see the birth of a new Fantastic Four book, because Disney owns that franchise again. Now that they own Fox, well, mostly. It still isn't officially 100% done, but it's gonna happen. They're going to own the Fantastic Four again, which means they can make a Fantastic Four movie, which means they need a book to support the movie so they can do their cross-referencing and selling and things and such. So, yeah, it looks like we're gonna see the birth of a new Fantastic Four series very, very soon, so that's pretty awesome. That one's done. We're kicking over to Avengers and the Justice League. Crossover action is always fun. So with Scott Snyder taking over the Justice League once Dark Knight's Metal wraps up, and Jason Aaron taking over the Avengers very soon as well, those two guys are pretty buddy-buddy, and there's a potential. They've been talking on Twitter that maybe there's a crossover in our future. Definitely not the near future at all, but not out of the question. This happened. This has happened a few times. It happened, I think, the last time. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the last time was in 2010. And then before that, very famously, there was the Marvel versus the DC universe in the 90s, which then turned into the Amalgam universe, where they mashed up their characters. So very, very interesting. A lot of potential. And linked to that potential, we have some Infinity Stones updates. We are going to update. So Marvel is going to update how the Infinity Stones work and why they're now gems instead of stones. But in the preview for Infinity Countdown Prime number 1, we see a bunch of different Captain Marvels on different Earths finding a reality stone, and it cuts off at the edge of the page, and there's another panel that exists, but we don't get to see it, and we're not going to get to see it once the actual book comes out either, because it's literally the edge of the page. But there's enough of the panel that you can see the foot and cape and arm of another Captain Marvel, the original Captain Marvel. The color scheme's a little bit different, probably so they won't get sued, but it is very, very obviously Billy Batson's Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, aka the original Captain Marvel that DC ran out of business in the 40s, and then they bought the company that created Captain Marvel but didn't do anything with it, so then Marvel came in and said, we have Captain Marvel now. Yeah, that guy. So you get Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, Marvel, the original Marvel Captain Marvel, and Billy Batson are all finding. So what does this mean? This kind of infers that the DC multiverse is part of somehow the Marvel multiverse, so they are aware of each other, which is, I mean, obviously they're aware of each other, but it's kind of cool to get that kind of recognition in the books. So when that comes out in May, I believe. Oh, of course, I didn't write the freaking. I'm pretty sure it's May. Definitely, we're going to be reading that and going over it. So stay tuned for that. But next up, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles news. There is a series that came out that ran from 96 to 99. It was 23 issues. It was set to be 25 issues, but the last 2 issues did not come out. That series is now referred to as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Urban Legends. Super dark. This is the reason why people say that the original Ninja Turtles were killers, and to a degree, this is after they've been created. This is technically Volume 3, the 3rd iteration of the Turtles. Didn't really catch on with fans as much as they were hoping, so they didn't finish the series. Laird came out later and said that series actually is now non-canon, and so ever since then it's just been forgotten. There have been fan theories and fan fiction, and there was an adaptation by the original team of Frank Fosco and Gary Carlson, but that will not factor into this new bit of news, in that they're going back to IDW to finish their books, and not just finish the story. They don't just get to do 2 more books. They're going to reprint the entire run in color. Originally, it was just in black and white. Now it's all going to be in color, and the turtles are all going to be red like they were back in the day too. So super awesome news for you Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lovers. It's still not going to be canon though. They're not canonizing this story. It's still just an Elseworlds kind of what if situation. But still, if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle lover, this is probably one of the better runs. So check it out once it launches. It's going to start in April. And yeah, we're going to get all 25 issues that they were originally hired to do. So that's freaking awesome. And then in our last bit of news for this week, we have Venom and some Marvel stuff too. So we talked about Marvel rebooting their stuff. It's now being called I didn't write that down. Why didn't I write that down? But they're renumbering their stuff, kind of. This is the new Marvel stuff. It is going to have 2 numbers. So anything that's getting rebooted, that's getting restarted, is going to have the number. It's going to start with a number 1, and then on the other side, it's going to have the legacy numbering as well. So we can get to that 1000th issue, like DC is doing right now on their side of things. But so this Venom, let's get back to the actual bit that we're talking about. This Venom, this new story arc, starting with number 1 in May, is going to be done by Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman. All of these reboots are going to be good jumping on points. So if you have not been reading them, now is a great time, or May, I guess, is a great time to do it, which coincides with Free Comic Book Day this year. So that's awesome. But this book, this is unique in that, generally speaking, the symbiote has a good relationship with the host. The Venom symbiote, depending on this story. But by and large, like, there's the host doesn't reject the symbiote necessarily. Carnage is a different story, and the other symbiotes also different stories, but Venom and whoever Venom attaches to become attached. But now, in this story, Eddie Brock there's a different relationship. He's apprehensive, and he's frightened of something, and so it just sounds really interesting. The villain in this, they have not yet released, but they have released that it's going to be a 1,000-year-old entity. It's an evil entity that has deep ties to the symbiote's dark and mysterious past, as well as the Marvel Universe as a whole. So, if you want to get into some really great anti-hero storytelling, then Venom is a good book to do that. And in May, we're getting a new number 1 because they're rebooting it. So, check it out. It's just going to be called Venom number 1. So in May, Venom number 1, buy it, we'll talk about it, and now we're going to finish the video. That is where we are ending this week's episode. What did I miss in comic books this week, guys? What should we talk about next week? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That's where you can find all of the freebies. It's where you can find the social media links and correspond in just a more generally specific kind of way. Email links and all of that stuff are over on the website, generallynerdy.net. You can jump over to the Patreon, support the channel, patreon.com/generallynerdy. But if you are new to the channel, then click that subscribe button, guys. Click the like button if you like this episode. If you are falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, click or tap that button right there to the left of my face to do that. But before you go, please always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.